Baking cookies is one of my favorite things to do with my boys. Now, I'll admit, we make a mess. Danielle loves it too. There's flour on the counter. There's chocolate chips rolling around. Sometimes the dog gets it. There's butter. There's vanilla, all of it. But it's always worth it. And what I love about baking cookies is that every ingredient matters. Flour, sugar, eggs, butter, vanilla, chocolate chips. Each one has a purpose. Some bring sweetness, some bring texture, some hold everything together. You can't just have one and leave it out and then swap it randomly with something else and expect it to be the same. Each part is intentional. And here's the thing. Every batch of cookie turns out a little bit different. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. But no two look or taste exactly the same. But at the end of the day, when you pull them out of the oven, the verdict is always the same. Man, these are good. Am I right? When I read Genesis 1, I can't help but think this is what God was doing on a cosmic scale. He was pulling everything together: light, land, sky, oceans, plants, animals, humanity, every part with purpose. Nothing random, nothing wasted. And at the end, he looked at it all and said, "It is good." Genesis 1 isn't just an old story we tell kids in Sunday school. Friends, it's the beginning of the story that we are still living in. Right at the start, we learn something about God. He is intentional, he is powerful, and he is creative. He's not random. And then we learn something about ourselves. It's that we are not accidents. You and I are not here by chance. You were created on purpose, with design, with calling. In fact, Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created mankind in his image. The image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them." That's huge. Nothing else in all creation gets that description. Not the stars, not the oceans, not the animals, only people. You carry God's fingerprints. So what does it mean to be made in the image of God? It doesn't mean we look like God physically. It means that we reflect him in unique ways. We were made to be creative like him, to love like him, to steward and care for creation like him. We were made to live in relationship with God and with one another, and even with the world he made. Think about that for a second. From the very beginning, God wired us for relationship. No wonder loneliness feels so crushing. No wonder conflict and division feel so wrong, because from the start, we weren't meant to live in isolation. We were meant to walk with God and with each other in unity. Psalm 8 says it this way: "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon, the stars, what is mankind that you are mindful of them? Yet you have made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor." You were crowned with glory. God placed dignity and value on you. Another thing I love about Genesis 1 is the rhythm. God speaks, creation responds, and then he says, "It is good," over and over again. And then after creating humanity, it says God saw all that he has made, and it was very good. And here's why that matters. Sometimes we can believe the lie that creation is broken from the very beginning, that it was flawed from the start, but the Bible tells us the opposite. The world was created good. People were created good. Work, relationships, rest, all of it was good in God's design. Sin comes later. We'll talk about that next week. But it's important to remember God's original intention was goodness. That means that the goodness you see in creation today, sunsets, oceans, a baby's laugh, a warm meal shared with friends, a warm chocolate chip cookie. That's not accidental. That's God's character shining through his creation. So what does that mean for us? First, it changes how we see ourselves. If you've ever wondered, do I matter? Does my life have meaning? Do I have worth? Genesis 1 shouts the answer, yes. You are an image bearer of the living God. Second, it changes how we see others. Every person you lock eyes with carries that same dignity, whether they realize it or not. That means the coworker who drives you crazy, the stranger on the street, even the person you completely disagree with, they all are made in the image of God. Third, it changes how we see the world. We're not just consumers of creation, we're caretakers. Genesis 1:28 says, God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. That's a job description. It means our work, our stewardship, our creativity, these are not random tasks, but ways that we can reflect our Creator. Here's a simple exercise. Imagine if you could fully believe this truth, that you are intentionally created by God in His image. How would it change your daily life? Maybe it would silence some of those negative voices in your head that say you're not enough. Maybe it would give you the confidence to step into something that God might be calling you to. Maybe it would help you treat others with a little more kindness, patience, and respect. And here's something practical you can try this week. Take a few minutes each day just to pause and notice something in creation. Watch the sunset. Look closely at a flower. Play with your dog. Look at the stars and ask yourself, what does this tell me about the God who made it? Because creation still declares His glory. As you step into your group time, here's a couple questions I want you to sit with. First, what part of God's creation brings you the most joy or wonder, and why do you think that is? And second, if you believe deeply that you are made in God's image on purpose with intention, how might that change the way you see yourself or the way you treat others? I hope as you share, you'll begin to see just how foundational this truth is. God made you, God made this world, and He called it good. So next time you bake cookies or even just eat one, let it be a reminder, good things don't happen by accident. They're a result of a Creator who brings all the right pieces together with purpose. And in the same way, you are not an accident. You are God's creation, His masterpiece, designed to reflect His glory. And that's where your story begins.